Hello, I'm Janet Dowling and I'm going to tell you a story. And this is the cow that ate the piper. Now, in the olden days, pipers, well, they would travel from town to town playing their pipes, letting people dance, maybe sing along, or maybe just nod their heads and listen to a good old tune. Well, I have to tell you, during the summer, it was actually a very good living. They could make a lot of money, but during the winter, not so much. People had other things to do. And this piper, he'd been travelling for some time now. It was a long way from the last village where he slept the night before, and it was getting cold and there was snow on the ground. And his tummy was rumbling, and he hadn't had much to eat, and there's very few coins in his pocket, and his boots. Oh, his boots were so thin, the tops were flapping away from the bottoms of the boots. What was he going to do? And as he kept down the road, he could see in the distance there was a farmhouse, and he would try and make his way there. But what? He fell over something, and he was on the ground on his knees. There was a mound in the road. Oh, flipping heck! And he tried to get himself up, but as he did that, he brushed off some of the snow from the mound, and then realised it was a man's leg. He brushed off more snow, and he got all the way to the man's head, and his beard, red beard, coming out. And he said, oh my God. He realised this then. He was also a gentleman of the road, someone who, like himself, was a traveller, someone who was making way from place to place, and it being too cold, and he died. Oh my goodness. He hoped that this would not be his fate as well. But then a thought struck him, and I have to say, I'm sorry, but he did this. He went down the rest of the body, and he was pushing the snow off until he got to the boots. Oh, well, he looked at his own boots with the tops flapping off, and he looked at these boots and looked like they were almost new. Somebody had obviously given them to him, or otherwise he'd just bought a new pair. Oh, what a waste to leave them on a dead body. Somebody would just pick up and bury. An idea came to him. He got his knife out, and he went to where those boots were, and he tried to lever them off, but it just didn't work. They were too frozen onto the feet. So he got his knife and went, and there was one boot complete with a foot in it. Well, he did the same to the other one. Two boots. And he took the laces and he tied them together. Then he put them around his neck. Okay? And then walked. And he walked to that far distant cottage. And as he got closer, he realised it was a farmhouse. And as he came up to the farmhouse, he could see in through the window. And there inside, there was a nice fire. And there was a table. Oh, and it was groaning with food. Oh, it looked beautiful. And he knocked on the door. And it took a while, but eventually the farmer came to the door and said, "Yep, what do you want?" And he said, "I'm a gentleman of the road. I can play you a tune, I can make you dance, I can make you sing. Please, I ask you, may I have a bed for a night and maybe something for me to eat?" And the farmer looked at him and said, "I don't want you in the house. You can go in the barn at the back." "That's okay, I can do that. But do you have something for me to eat?" And the farmer went in. And the piper was just thinking what he might be able to have when he got, and it was just an apple. Well, an apple's better than nothing. And he ate that as he went round to the barn, and he got into the barn, and actually it was quite warm in there, and he could hear a rustling, and it was the cow's barn. But at least the cow would be something nice and warm to snuggle up to. And the boots around hwith those frozen feet in them. If he put the boots under the cow, then surely they're defrosting to have new boots in the morning. Yeah, this could work out quite well. So that's what he did, and he snuggled up to the cow. And actually, it was really quite a nice morning. And, well, when he woke up, sure enough, those boots were defrosted. And so again with his knife, he pulled out the feet from the boots, and I have to say, those boots will look pretty good. And he took off his own boots, and then he put on the new boots. Oh, really comfortable, really nice boots. And then he thought he'd play a trick. He'd play a trick on the farm. And what he did was he took the boots and he put his old boots with the flappy toes, and he took these feet and he stuck them in so that the toes were poking out from the flappy bits at the top. And he put it down by the side of the cow, and then he went and hid away and waited. And sure enough, the farmer's wife came in to milk Bessie the cow. And of course, as she got to Bessie the cow, she could see the boots with feet in them. Oh my goodness! And she turned and she screamed for her husband to come. And of course, he came running because he had no idea what was going on. Look. And he looked and they could see the feet. Oh my goodness! The cow has ate the piper. And his wife looked at her husband and she said, husband. Ha! If they find out about this, they take the cow away for murder. And the husband looked at her and said, well, I don't know about that, but we certainly don't want anybody knowing that the piper was here. So, what they did, they decided to take the boots and bury them. And they took them out with the spade, and they went up to the furthest hill far away from the house, and they dug a hole. And it was a hole that was about 2 feet square, just big enough to put a pair of shoes and boots and feet away. Well, the piper thought this was so funny. He really did. Oh, and while they were away, he got up and thought, well, I might just go my way again, and they'll never know whether or not I'll come back. But do you know, he went past the kitchen of that house and he could smell the bacon. And he looked in and he could see the bacon on the table. And he thought, oh, well, I might go and have some of that. And as he was just tucking in, he heard a knock on the door. And he got up and he opened the door, expecting who? But, oh no, there was a man there, a fairly short man, and he had a sort of red beard. And Piper said, oh, come in, another gentleman of the road like myself. Come in and have some breakfast. The people here will be some time. And he said, why don't you come in, sit by the fire, take your boots off, get a bit warm. And the man with the red beard just turned and looked at him and said, I'd like to do that. I'd like to take my boots off of my own feet. But I do not seem to have any, and yet I can see you have my boots. And with that, the piper looked down at this man who was 2 foot short of what he ought to be, and with that, the piper turned and ran, and never went back there again. And who knows what that farmer and his wife came home to, and who knows what they made of it. But I know, any time anybody knocks on my door and maybe asks for something to eat, or maybe needs to help to have a bed, I will do my best to help them, as I hope maybe you will. But in the meantime, that piper is still